Injury-wise, for the game, the only guys that'll have kind of those game statuses, Colby Parkinson and Steve Avila will be doubtful. Everybody else, should be in good shape. Kevin, be good. That's a good thing. You feel good about that? Me too. Yeah, he's a great player, and Sweat is too. I'll be interested to see. They're excellent across the board. This is a defense that there's a style of play, and this team is tough as a whole, so we got a lot of respect. We got our work cut out for us, but, when you talk about, how deep and the caliber of players that they have on the interior parts of their defensive line, it's a big deal. Kevin Dotson brings so much to us. We're not going to truly rule out the possibility of Steve being able to go, but fortunately for us, we have established some depth where we've got some guys that if they need to be able to step up, they've shown that they're more than capable of that, and that's going to be a great challenge for us. He will not practice today. We'll see. We're working through that. I'm not going to tell you that. I appreciate it.
With Colby's situation, is that something that could potentially open up more opportunities for somebody like Terrance? I know that you talked about
Sure.
Special teams was kind of you felt like that was the right approach because of the groin coming back from that.
Yep.
What could that mean for him?
It could, Stu. And I think a lot of it depends on how the game unfolds. We have some different packages, different personnel groupings that we can activate. Terrance is a guy that we want to be able to, figure out where can we start to be able to allow him to be able to, find his role and continue to grow. He did miss some valuable time, with that groin. I thought he did a nice job with the things that he could control last week. He's had a couple good weeks of practice, and so that is something that could be a possibility.
What do you feel like are the areas for Terrance that he's still kind of trying to come back?
I think it's, the accumulation of experience, just all the little things. We ask so much of our tight ends, and, and they're really part of all three different phases in terms of protection, run game, and the pass game. And so there's a lot on them. Those guys are versatile. Sometimes they're doing receiver stuff. Sometimes they're doing offensive line stuff. You move them all over the formation in different situations. But I think it's just continuing to develop as a complete player. That's what we're really looking for, and that's consistent with all of our tight ends.
Given kind of the situation early on here with the offensive line and your desire, you've said, to get the run game going
Yep.
more, is this like setting up for why you guys like having so many tight ends and are able to deploy maybe more in that?
I think it's
way?
setting up for, I think we've got to consistently execute. And I know what you're asking, Gary. And so I think the biggest thing is, whether it be on the interior offensive line, the outside with our tackles, our tight ends, guys that can be committed to the run blocking surface. And that's not exclusive. We ask receivers to do that too. So health continuity is a big thing. Being able to be efficient so that you can be in some of those 50-50 situations is a big deal. We didn't do a good enough job, and we're aware of that last week. I got a lot of respect for that opponent, but there were some things that, we're looking forward to seeing that improvement from week 1 to week 2. But any good offense that we've ever had or that I've been a part of, they have the ability to do either or. And I think you have to have balance, or you have to be able to have some counters based on, all right, what are they committing to and what does that open up, whether that be other runs, things in the pass game, and we have to be committed to be able to bring those things to life and be a complete offense.
When it comes to those elements, is there a specific point in your career where you dictated that mindset for the rest of it?
As far as you're saying being able to do both, I just think, when you're able to stay efficient and you're able to stay in some of those 50-50 situations, if you will, you can have a lot of the things that we want to be about offensively come to life, where you can create, that marriage of the run and the pass. You have the ability to be able to, make that, little bit of hesitation for the defenders when it's so reactionary on the defensive side of the ball. And, and you're staying out of, bad passing situations where the pen ends up in the offense in the defensive, coordinator and defensive players, hands. And so that's always been a big factor. Any of these good offenses that we've been a part of, I can remember, what a big factor our offensive line was when we first got here. And then obviously you guys know what a special player Todd was, but our ability to be able to do that and what came off of it was a big thing. And, you look at these great offenses around the league and they've got the ability to do both. And really they can kind of go into their bag accordingly, whether it's, balance one game or leaning into one phase or the other based on how that defense is committing to trying to be able to stop one or the other.
You have a while before you go to London, but when you think back to previous experience international, what is the flight home like?
Well, it's been pretty positive because the 2 times that we've done that, we've had good results. I was also a part of a team, and when I was in Washington, we went out there to play Cincinnati and ended up in a tie. That was interesting, So it's been great. Those have been really positive experiences. The only thing that was a little unsettling about in 19 when we were coming back was there was fires in the area, and we weren't sure if we were going to have to evacuate our house, and the Wi-Fi went out. So now that you mention it, that wasn't as pleasant on the flight back, but a lot of it is predicated. I love the time that you get with guys, and it's a great opportunity to be able to expand the reach, and both the atmospheres that we've played in since I've been here have been outstanding, going back to 17 and the 19 seasons.
When you're on a flight that long, do you try and be, how quickly do you turn to the next game and try and be efficient with it, or do you just try and recover and get ready?
Oh yeah, you try to enjoy it, and both of those games coincided with us having our bye after that. So, I usually wait until the next day to be able to, watch the film, things like that, and so you try to enjoy yourself.
In elite, where the rules kind of tilt towards the offense and scoring
Sure.
and whatnot, how impressive from your side as an offensive guy was your defense not giving up a touchdown?
They were outstanding. I thought they had great control of that game, and even when they did, secure that drive to get down where they were before Landman forced that punch out, and then Fisk recovers it. I thought they just did an excellent job, and that's consistent. And I thought we played good as a team based on how that game unfolded, where, the game ended up the way that it did. There were some opportunities that we're excited about seeing if we can improve collectively to maybe put ourselves where it's a different position. I'll tell you what I do love about it is we had to dig deep. It was hard based on, some of the situations that, you give them credit, but we also can execute better in some things. We can do a good job as coaches of being able to grow, but I thought the defense was outstanding. I thought their demeanor, their disposition, their vibe was really great throughout, and that was a key component for us to being able to finish that game. They were awesome.